Alright, so I'm working on a mini split at a campground, and the indoor unit inside was throwing a code P4, so I called tech support, and they said that was either your outdoor fan motor, your compressor, or your boards that are bad. So what I did was I ohmed out the compressor wires, which are right there, and everything checked fine on the three-phase compressor. All the leads read the same exact ohm reading, which is what you want, as well as the fan motor is a three-phase fan motor. Ohmed out the leads again, they all read the same, so that was fine. So it comes down to this board being bad, and it's, in order to replace the boards, you gotta replace both of them. So there's one right there, and there's your other board with your big old capacitors and your heat sink and all that's got to be replaced. But yep, gotta love some mini split units. This is actually a Seabreeze, if you ever heard of them. We work on.
Okay, so if you're watching this video right now, you have just scanned this QR code right here, and what this is for is to show you how this system works. So right now the system is set to cooling 7171. So when that happens, to prevent in-heating or cooling, to make sure that the correct amount of air gets into this ice machine room right here, we have another thermostat over here with a damper mounted in place, and this needs to be made sure that it's set to the same setting as whatever that thermostat is. So classic example is here today. I walk in here and this thermostat is still set to heating, and that thermostat over there has been changed to cooling in the last couple of days. So we need to make sure that cooling or heating, we have that set, this thermostat set to cool, this thermostat in here on the wall by the panel box needs to be set to cool as well. If it's changed, if this master stat, I'm going to call it, is set to heat over here, this over here needs to be changed to heat as well. So just keep that in mind. The purpose of this is that in heating especially, is when we have the biggest issue, there's a damper that controls airflow into this room. And in heating, in the wintertime, too much heat will dump into this room and cause this room to get too hot and cause these appliances to not work correctly. So this is to limit the amount of heat that we get in here, especially in the winter, and then also in turn to make sure that we get enough cool air here in the summer. Thanks for watching. Okay, so this is right here on the outside. We're going to be putting a line set cover right there yet. Disconnect is not mounted yet, so we got to get that done. And then the mini split, what I'm looking at right here is that you got this much space here between these two windows, and I'm thinking we're going to mount that mini split. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm thinking probably make the bottom rail be about right in there. So that's what we're looking at as far as the actual mini split. Okay, so I just talked to Zach a few minutes ago. He's working on a call where he's getting intermittent 24 volts to the gas valve on a gas furnace. And so I was visiting with him a bit. He's taken some footage on it, but basically it's a spark ignition, so you can hear the spark igniter coming on, sends voltage for a bit, and then goes away. And it does it whether it's plugged in to the valve or not. So his question was, is this a valve problem or is this a board problem? And after talking through it with him for a few minutes, we decided it was indeed a board problem. So that's what you'll see coming up here. So this morning I was working with Cliff on a few things. We were getting some stuff ready for an install project, getting the guys loaded out for their projects, and we've got a couple jobs that are going on this week. Nothing too crazy going on, so we're just working on. It looks like they're already gone for the morning. So. Anyways, I've got to go spec out a project I'm going to go through today. What we do when we do a spec out, why we do them, why they're important, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on this morning. So I'm headed out to do that now. And the flag is up. Hey, good morning. It's 9:15 on Wednesday morning, and I'm in the truck this morning. So we just got done getting install team loaded up for a project that they're on this morning, starting a new project that they have going on. So I'm headed out this morning to look at that project together with them and just make sure that they have everything they need. So we're gonna see what's happening over there, make sure they've got all the equipment they need, make sure they got all the tools they need, and make sure everything is moving along smoothly. So I'm going to be checking that out, and we've got to get two new tires for the front of the box truck today put on. They were ordered yesterday, so talked to the tire store this morning, and they said that they're ready to be put on today, so I've got to get that done. Got my AB call this morning at 10 o'clock our time, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock CST, and so I'm going to look at the project, and then I'm coming back to be on that call, and then I've got some sales pricing to review this morning, and then I've got a sales call this afternoon between 2 and 4. So I've got a fairly busy day planned. Should be ending my day hopefully around 6 o'clock today. So yeah, good morning, and looking forward to a beautiful sunny day out. Definitely loving that.
Want my bag?
Yeah.
I got a bag that kind of like Dustin's bag.
Okay. Yep. One that's like more. You've got more. It's on there tight. I bet that thing's been leaking in the past, and they probably leak locked it. Open that cap and look. Maybe not. Go ahead and pull your other one as well. Your liquid line. You don't have to take that cap off because we're not necessarily going to put a gauge there. You'll put your gauge onto your suction line. See if there's even any refrigerant. I bet there's not. A lot of time, this is an insurance job, and a lot of time when you get an insurance job, it got hit by lightning. Open it up and look at your app. You ain't got no pressure.
So I gotta open it?
No, you don't have to do nothing. You just, as long as you got it screwed on there, you ain't got no pressure in the system. So you're good.
So I can just cut it?
Yep. Now what you can do as a safeguard, you can take this right here and you can pull your core, right, out of your suction line. That way you know for 100% sure that you don't have any pressure, right? And you don't get, yeah, so you had a little bit. So when you cut the line, you'd have got a little bit of a scare because you've been like, oh man, there's a little pressure. But if you pull your core, you don't have that happen. And when you're brazing, you always have your cores pulled so that you don't build up pressure in there. Go inside and look at the furnace. I don't think so. You might have to turn it off. Right here, this is the old furnace that we're removing today. So this is the old coil the furnace, everything. We're going to be replacing the copper refrigerant tubing. We're going to be cutting this out a little bit and redoing some of this. So that's what's happening. All right, so I just finished up going over everything with the installers, Jonathan and Scott, today. This is the new furnace it's going to be going in. That's a new indoor furnace there. We've got the coil box in place. That's the coil sitting in the back of the truck right there. Obviously the condenser right there, but we're going to be bolting this on top of that and putting that all in place. One of the things that's important when you're installing one of these is to make sure that you knock out these right there where your line set comes up through, and then for your wiring before you put the furnace in place. So yep, so I'm headed out to do my AB call, and then I'll check back in on these guys a little later this morning. All right, so it's 11:50, almost 12 o'clock. Back on site here to see what Johnny boy got done. Let's see. One mic on. I think my mic is actually on. I didn't think it was on. Okay, so they got the condenser set. Looks like they're getting ready to pull their copper tubing right here. It's always good to wrap up your... Yeah, there we go. Wrap up your line set where you got your wire with it and everything. And I got the old equipment removed, condenser, air handler, furnace, whatever. Got the new coil right there, ready to go in. Gonna be mounted on the furnace there. So yeah, making progress. Let's go run inside and see how things are looking in there. This is after the furnace is removed. So this right here is where we take and seal this all up right inside here. Put a piece of plywood in place so the furnace is shimmed so that it kicks the water that direction, makes it so that it will drain correctly. So all looking good.
I'm deeper in. There's where I came in back there. And now I'm up towards the unit itself. You know, you can see that going through the wall, but it looks like it's getting a little tight back here. You know, I don't know if the ground level, take a quick measurement. Yeah, I'm down to 31 inches now. I really can't sneak by here. I'm kind of in the center of the house. Oh, looks like a little problem here. This is saying 36 clearance right here in my, you know, the entrance. As you can see, you come in, it does get a little shallower, but some room to work in here. A little bit of plastic here from a different time. This fence pushes into to open up, but is blocked by some branches. Found the unit. Looks like it'd be much easier to come in from this double wide fence here, which leads back out to Greenbrier Road. I'll check or look into how the neighbor is. Looks like the crawl space entrance is right here. The front of the house is facing Greenbrier Road. Then we have the other side with another easy access, but over here is another fence to get to the rear of the house. Pretty easy access.
Over here at the back of the road, the house on the back of the rental. A little messy. Pastor was good. He said we're finding heating, but I don't know how. And a little fuse behind each one of these for each leg. That one was blown. The contactor, they had one wire off, one leg off of the contactor. And the thermostat wasn't set up for O signal. The O wire wasn't even hooked up. But got the thermostat set up and fuse replaced, and it's working real good.
Okay, so if you look right here, you can see that the blue wire is wired to the O terminal. This blue wire needs to be moved to the B terminal because this is a ream, and reams are fail-safe cool, not fail-safe heat. Thanks for watching. All right, so it's Thursday, 11:15. This morning went to the BNI meeting, my BNI meeting, had a great meeting there. A few people missing, but I went there and had a good meeting. Had one new visitor actually from a staffing agency, so that was encouraging to see that. And came here to the warehouse, went over a few things with Cliff. I'm in Augusta today at the shop here. Headed out now for my next BNI meeting. Already did my financial stuff that I need to do for the day this morning, and met with Dustin, got him some materials for our commercial school project that's going on below Louisville, or near Louisville. So he's working on installing a mini split there, starting that today, finishing up on that project. I also had a conversation with him. He's going to be starting the condenser set at the commercial school project in South Carolina coming up next week, so working on that. Cliff was doing some errands this morning, had to run out to a couple vendors and pick up a few items for our Augusta shop here and for inventory for Wren's. So he's working on that, and Jonathan is finishing up on his project from yesterday. So looking forward to see the completed project there. Zach and Brian are both out doing some service repair work, And Zach is actually going on a call from yesterday. I went to a client's home, and they initially were interested in a new system, but I didn't try to talk them out of it. I just simply presented the options. I used the, I don't know if I used the correct process, but I used Charlie Greer's idea of a paper towel close. Just wrote everything down on a piece of paper and walked them through what their options were. So I'm interested to learn more about his paper towel close technique. But went through, gave them 3 options for replacing a package unit, and then gave them options for their repairs. So I didn't know what the problem was, so it was speculation on the repair. So Zach is actually doing a follow-up call today. They chose to go down the diagnostic path of doing a repair, and then they'll have the option, if they don't get the full value from whatever repair we would recommend, if they were to have another problem with their unit, or that repair doesn't last for some reason, although it would come from come with a warranty from us, they would qualify potentially for a repair buyback program as being part of our maintenance program. So that would allow them to invest into a new system. We would actually credit them or buy back their up to 50% of their repair within the first year if they have an issue with their system and choose to upgrade with our company. So repair buyback is a big plus for a lot of people. They makes it feel like you're not, and it definitely is this way. It's not just feeling that way. You're investing in repairs, but you're not having to wonder, well, what happens if I don't get more than 6 months out of this unit? You've got a safety net, so you haven't thrown all your money away. So anyway, so that's what's going on this morning. I'm headed to my second BNI meeting for the day to sub for Jeff because he's not available to do that today. So we're going to go down there. I got to do the education moment, and see how that goes. Thanks. See you later today, hopefully.
I'm working on a Daikin inverter at a bank, and just got off the phone with tech support. We went and ran a code check on the head. It's E7 code, which says blower motor. Came back out here and owned the motor out, and it was not good. So then we diagnosed the board itself just to make sure it wasn't the board. And this is the S70 plug for the fan motor. So this is that far right pin by itself. That's your number one. You go to from that to the third over. Should be 300 and something volts DC, 350. And it was, and then between 3 and 4 it was supposed to be 38 volts DC, and that was good. So that was just a second way to test the motor, and so we need a new blower motor. Should be fairly easy. I know those bolts are metric, so I'm gonna have to get some tools from the house. I don't have much metric on the van. Yep. I'm working on a Daikin inverter at a bank, and just got off the phone with tech support. We went and ran a code check on the head. It's E7 code, which says blower motor. Came back out here and owned the motor out, and it was not good. So then we diagnosed the board itself just to make sure it wasn't the board. And this is the S70 plug for the fan motor. So this is that far right pin by itself. That's your number one. You go to from that to the third over. Should be 300 and something volts DC, 350. And it was, and then between 3 and 4 It was supposed to be 38 volts DC, and that was good. So that was just a second way to test the motor, and so we need a new blower motor. Should be fairly easy. I know those bolts are metric, so I'm gonna have to get some tools from the house. I don't have much metric on the van. Yep.
All right, so hey, it's almost 6:45 on Thursday here. So just wrapping up for the day, and met with Jonathan and Dustin. Went over the projects that we had been getting completed, or that they'd been working on. We've got a plan for tomorrow to finish up on a mini split project, and we've got a condenser we got to set tomorrow. And Zach went out and quoted a little duct repair job and got that closed this afternoon, so that was great. Brian was doing some maintenance and some service repair work. He came down and was helping Zach out in his area a little more today because they were Zach was booked pretty solid for the day. Anyways, Masters Week is approaching, so we're trying to stay out of Augusta if we can, but I don't know how possible that's going to be. And let's see, seems like there was something else I was going to mention, but anyways, closing out the day. Oh, Brian was working on a mini split today, and he did a great job of diagnosing a defective fan motor on the outdoor unit. Those are not always easy to diagnose, so kudos to him for figuring that out. And the sales call that I was on yesterday, they're almost to commit, but not quite. So I did a call this afternoon with a guy that wants a mini split quoted, and I was going to go see him, but we're going to try something new. I'm going to do a virtual call with him tomorrow, where we're going to do a video call and walk through and look at what he's doing, because it's not that big of a project, and I think I can quote it remotely if he does a good video call with me. So interested to see how that turns out. And yep, so end of the day. It's been beautiful weather. It's going to be a little bit warmer tomorrow, so we'll have to see how things shape up. Oh, I did go to my B&I meeting this afternoon at lunchtime, so made some great connections there. And of course, I always have a good time there, but made some good connections. Really cool nonprofit that does some, they work with special needs adults, and they do craft projects, and I don't know, it looks really neat. They got a really cool flyer, so I'm excited to go check all that out at some point. Anyways, have a great night. Okay, so you can see right here, according to my tape, you got to make sure that this thing is on 24 inches, 24 and a half, something like that. And then the total is 30, right at 36 maybe at the most. And so what you want to do is make sure that when you're out here at the make sure that you're, so from the edge of the doorway right there, you're at 36. So I would make that unit, you know, come back, maybe make the edge of it be about right there so it clears the door well. And then you're going to have to make sure that your rails, like you're going to probably have to move this. You can see I'm hooked on the very end there, but you're going to have to probably move this rail right here, you know, over a couple inches, 3 to 4 inches, to get it to be that 24.
So here I am working on probably an 07 Chevy Express. The blower motor, all the speeds went out except high. It seemed like it would drop a speed every month. And I thought I could deal with it, but I couldn't. You wouldn't believe how aggravating it was. But I diagnosed everything. I was getting voltage coming into this resistor pack, and this is out going to the blower motor. I was only getting voltage here on high. So this is held down with two 5.5 millimeter bolts. You just pop it out, and that's your resistor pack right there. And you unplug it from there, and the installation is reverse of removal. So we got a brand new one here I stopped at the parts store. Pretty easy. Over here at Tobacco Road, the house on Tobacco Rental. A little messy. Faster was good, he said. Worked fine in heating, but I don't know how. There's a little fuse behind each one of these for each leg. That one was blown. The contactor, they had one wire off, one leg off of the contactor. And the thermostat wasn't set up for O signal. The O wire wasn't even hooked up. But got the thermostat set up and fuse replaced, and see, it's working real good.
All right, so it's Saturday afternoon, around 2 o'clock, and I am in the warehouse just wandering around here. We're doing finishing up our filming. A couple things I wanted to go over though today of things that I like to have done every week. I like to have this area of this table right here cleaned off and organized neatly. I like the desk to be organized neatly. I like the motor shelf to be organized neatly. No motors left on it if possible. In this case, we have one that needs to be changed still. I like this to be cleaned off. I like this to be cleaned off. I like the trash to be taken out, which Rio will be doing a little bit later. I like to see the sheet metal area all cleaned up and tidy. This is clear, that's good. Nothing on the sheet metal bench. Just things picked up and all the equipment organized. And at the moment, no fault of anyone's really. It's just not actually that way. So that's okay. We've been busy and we've got a lot of equipment that needs to go out the door. But these are things that I like to see because a clean environment is a safe environment. The ultimate is to design and organize your spaces that you're working out of so that they don't have to be tidied up. And if they do need to be, it only takes a few minutes. So like this right here, this stays nice and tidy pretty much all the time. We don't work out of it a terribly lot, but we do use stuff off of here on a weekly basis or daily basis. So that space has been working very well for us. I've been very pleased with that. One thing that I just added here on the motor shelf that I hope really people take advantage of and use is we've added all these terminals right here that can be used easily. Some of them we don't use very often. Get out of here, you fan motor. See, this is why you don't leave stuff. That's why you don't leave stuff sitting right here. See, because I was sitting there, I couldn't get to all this wire right here. So we've got all this wire, we've got all our pullers, all that stuff. And we want to keep it all organized and neat. Looks good. We've got our wires for testing motors. We're going to need to redo this right here because I want to do a more flexible wire into that breaker right there. What we do here is this is a control out of an old Trane unit, and we're able to use these 24 volt plugs right here and the 220 to power up a motor like this right here. We're able to plug those into right there and right there, and then we can take and come over here to the 24 volt right here. This is 24 volts, and we can short these pins out and make them run the motor through the control board that's mounted inside of here, because it's that these motors that we need to test like that a lot of the time are variable speed motors. So anyways, yeah, just kind of walking around the shop musing about things that need to be done. One of my big projects that I have coming up, this blasted toolbox right here, it is about so messy. Just look at it. Just full of junk. And, I mean, not junk, but it's just not organized. You know? I've got this really, you know, just like, we got umpteen dozen hammers, you know? Nobody really knows they're there. We've got a whole bunch of extra tools right here that we draw from. My ultimate goal is to get a nice workbench that is from, been eyeing one at Harbor Freight. I want to get me a nice workbench and put it in there and make it so that we have tools all organized neatly. Get some Kaizen foam. I guess we'll see how quick that happens. But that's the goal. So I guess we'll see where in the future video where we're at in a couple months. Have a great rest of your day. Hey, that's it for this week's video. Thanks so much for watching. Click here to subscribe to our channel and click here to watch last week's video.